Hello and welcome back to the Good Talkers podcast. So awesome to have you all with us today. As always, my name is Tessa Livingston and I am joined by the fabulous Ashton Haugen.
Hello.
The fantabulous, we're going to go fantabulous today. I know, what a great word. Deanna Cooney.
I am very excited about that. I think I might just put that on my signature. Fantabulous.
I think you should. I am fantabulous. And the delightful, always keeping us on our toes, producer Jordan.
That's true. Hello. Good morning. Good evening.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. That sounded like a
Wrapping it up already.
Yeah, it sounded like a newscaster tune off. Now,
Sign off? Tune off?
Did I say tune off?
You did.
Look, I'm just going to very quietly sip my cup of peppermint tea and hope that it resets me. Because I've already said, as always, I'm Tessa Livingston. Of course, I'm always me. Like, I've said many wrong things already.
Well, you never know. Sometimes you might show up as someone else. I think that could be fun.
I could be somebody else.
You're
Yeah.
an actor. You're an actor.
We could change our names and see if anyone guesses that we're, on the podcast, we could be each other.
We could.
Just randomly for any episode. Someone's got to be me. That'd be hard.
I call Jordan. I'm going to get the mustache.
Do we have to do each other's accents?
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Oh.
If possible, fun.
I call Ashton's.
I call Tessa.
That means I
and
have to
I'm
do
Kiwi.
New Zealand. That means I'm you, Tessa.
Amazing. Oh, fun story about that before I throw to the next thing. I'm running a course at the moment which has some Australians in it. So it's a breath and vocal stamina course. It's going really well. We've got a good rapport. It's all good. There's a couple of New Zealanders on it, but it's mostly Australians. And I was talking about airflow, and I must have said the word ear quite a few times in a row. And this person unmuted themselves and went, Tessa. And I went, yeah, thinking they've got an amazing question for me. Say ear again.
Except they would have said, say air again.
Yeah.
Tessa, say air again.
Yeah.
Say air.
No, he mimicked me and he went,
He
say
said,
ear again.
Ear.
Are you saying
It sounds
ear,
like you're
or
saying earflow, like
Yeah.
the flow is going through my ears.
Yeah, no. Honestly, it was so funny. He was like, say it again, Tessa. I was like, no.
Maybe that's my Tessa accent access. Ear.
Yeah, ear.
Earflow.
Earflow.
Hi, I'm Tessa Livingston, and this is my earflow.
Horrendous. Bad Australian.
Sorry, that
That's
was
what
so
that
bad.
It was rubbish.
What's that show? Kath and Kim. Kath and Kim. That's what you sounded like. For anyone who knows.
I was
Clearly that
trying
needs
to
some
find
work.
a moment where I was like, well, this bit was okay, but I
No, none of it.
I
None
struggled.
of it was good. It's fine.
I have
I
a
wasn't
quick
even
question.
trying anyway.
I have a quick question about. It's a very global question, actually.
Yeah.
So I've been watching the Great British Bake Off. One of my favorite shows. You guys have that over there? It's
We have
Netflix.
we got versions.
we
Yeah.
have it.
Yeah. It's
So
on somewhere.
they were cooking one day and they called something that we call in America something very different. And I wanted to know if you guys called the thing what they called it or if you call it what we call it. So I'm going to
All right.
show you the thing and you tell me what you
Oh my
call
God,
it.
she has the
okay?
thing. Do you have the
great.
thing?
I have the thing. I have a picture of the thing. So
Okay, by the way,
this.
folks, we are on YouTube now. So, yes, Ashton is currently holding something up for us to look at. And if you want to look at it too, you should come check out our YouTube channel.
You should. You should look at it. Yeah.
Right.
So
Show us.
it's this. I don't know. Can you see what
I
it is?
can't see what
It's
it
an
is.
eggplant.
Oh, yeah, it's an eggplant.
Okay,
It's
that's
an
what we call it too. We
it's an
call it an
aubergine.
eggplant.
Or aubergine.
But aubergine
what
is
they
another
call
word
it.
for it. It's just
But I'd
another word
never-
for it.
But I'd never heard that. And I was
Ah.
like, that is such a more beautiful word
Aubergine.
Aubergine.
than eggplant, you know? What we call it. And maybe if it was called like this beautiful thing, maybe it wouldn't have other certain connotations. I don't know. But
Well, what other connotations does it have?
It's the penis emoji.
I
Are you
know.
kidding?
Trying to get Ashton to say it.
Oh, literal. It went
Global.
right over my head. I didn't even know that there was a joke happening.
it's the penis emoji.
I was
At
really
least
serious
that's
about that too. I
global.
was like,
Deanna, don't you know anything about emojis? It's the penis emoji. God.
get up with the kids, Deanna.
God, you're so old. No, I'm aware, but
I missed that, didn't I?
interesting. Do you think calling it an aubergine would change the penis association?
Maybe not. But
I
I,
don't
still
think so.
it would be prettier.
It sounds nicer. It's got more of a onomatopoeic kind of vibe, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Aubergine. It's like
I
Yeah.
also think that I can spell eggplant.
Oh,
That's true.
I could not spell.
Let's try, guys. Let's definitely do this.
Have a go.
Oh, do I have to go first?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
really
Come on,
bad
have a go.
speller. Okay. A-U. I was going to say O, and then I went, no, that's not right. A-U-B.
Tessa is currently spelling it on her hand.
I can't
She's
do it.
writing on her hand so that she can spell the word.
B-I.
No.
No.
Oh, fuck.
Oh,
All right,
I
someone
thought
else's
it
turn
was.
then.
A-U-B-R-I.
You skipped a letter.
Wrong.
It's not.
Why did you put
it's-
an R in there?
Auberge.
No, it's not
aubergine?
aubergine. It's
Oh.
aubergine.
Get your American
'cause-
R out of there.
Roticizing. Everything is that
I was
way.
educated in America.
Deanna thinks she's got it, so I don't know if I should go first.
No,
Go,
I think,
go, Jordan.
I think,
Go, Jordan.
Aubegine.
Yeah.
But
Is
hey,
that
that's
right?
not fair.
no,
You
wait.
used to cook. So, like,
Well,
you
that's
probably
irrelevant.
knew that.
It's
No, but
totally
is
irrelevant.
anybody
is.
spell checking this? Or are you guys just being like
Oh,
saying
there's an
no
R.
to me without
There's an R.
knowing?
I thought there's an R. Aubergine. So yes,
there?
Jordan, except you missed the R.
Oh.
So, there was an R.
Yeah, but you didn't put the E before the R.
Oh.
You went straight to you went aubergine.
This is going to make great content.
Yeah. Fascinating, right?
Yeah.
I just,
Uh-oh.
did you, no, was everybody saying like yes or no? Oh, there it is. A-U-B-E-R G-I-N-E. Honestly, I was going to, if I'd gotten the first half right, I was going to be really afraid of what to do when I got to the gene part. I was like, I don't know. I don't know what to do here.
Did you like fuck it up early on purpose?
So the moral
Just
of the
that bad
story,
at spelling.
the moral of the story is that eggplant is the name of the
Eggplant.
vegetable.
Eggplant.
Because we
Unless you want to
Okay.
be fancy. If you want to be fancy, call it an aubergine.
Oh, fuck
Okay.
a fancy.
And
I
But
don't
then
want
now,
that
like, I
shit.
know that, like, you know, if I go over to Australia or New Zealand, I would be fine ordering, like, eggplant parmigiana and,
Yeah.
like,
You'd
that's
be all
my
good.
American accent
Yeah.
coming in again.
Yeah.
Parmigiana.
Parmigiana. Yeah. Yeah.
We just call it palm.
Like
Palm.
eggplant
We
palm.
have a chicken palm. There's no other sounds. Just palm.
We say palmy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we just say palm. I have a chicken palm.
Australians add IE to the end of just about everything.
Really
Barbie,
do.
palmy. You know, like it just happens.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
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 Well, now that we've figured out that Tessa can't spell, Deanna's really good at it, and Ashton's got a good throw on the spelling. You know, she did all right,
Despite being educated in America.
despite being
I do
educated in
okay.
America. Yeah, Jordan had a pretty good handle on the spelling as well. So, you know, now that we have all done that, we can move on to the topic for the week. Woo! Yay, topics for the week. So today, dear lovely listeners, we are talking the good talk on voice and how it is more than just a muscle inside your body. It is much more holistic than that, and it can mean a lot for our physical state as well as our emotional state. So, wow, we've got lots of things going on with the voice. Our voice can be a part of our identity really, really heavily. It can talk a lot to our personality. Oh, and
I would-
Deanna's already got her finger up.
I would even say that it actually isn't, it's not just that it could be part of our identity, it is.
Yeah,
Flat out,
totally agree.
irrefutably is part of our identity.
Yeah.
And this is really apparent to me as someone who works with people on their voices, because letting go of like ideas that you have about how you sound and what your voice is for and what it does and how effective it is incredibly difficult because it's literally part of who we are. The two first things we do when we're born is take a breath and make a sound. So making sounds are intrinsically a part of our personality, our identity. They reflect back our environment to us. We shift our sound depending on how we want to fit into a space.
Absolutely.
It is a massive, massive part of who we are, and it's how we like interact with the world if we have a voice to use. You know,
Ugh.
obviously, if we don't have a voice, we find other ways of engaging with our environment. But it is just, it's integral.
yeah. You literally took the end half of my next sentence.
Oh, sorry.
which is incredible because it just shows how vital this stuff really, really is. It can be what my next part of my sentence says. It's a way, our voice can be a way for letting ourselves go, but it can also be a thing that holds us back because it's so hard to shift these patterns. So one day during one of the podcasts, and I cannot remember what episode it was, but it was the day that we therapized me a little bit. Do you remember me saying that?
Yes.
Yeah, because I talked about needing to messy my voice up or make it dirty. And we talked about how those words influence us. So what I want to share about that, just to, get the ball rolling, is our vocal labels, how we label our voices and how other people label our voices for us. And part of the reason why I find getting my voice, again, inverted commas, dirty or messy is because my whole life I've been told I have a beautiful voice. So that's a label for me. I've always gone, okay, people have said I have a nice sounding voice, I have a beautiful tone, I have all of this stuff. So people have put this label on my voice. Therefore, I find it really hard to have it be anything but.
It's really interesting, right? Because and this is an example of how much it does, how related it is to how we see ourselves, right? So this is not about voice, right? This is about personality and expression.
Yes.
I am happy, right? As a general rule, I'm a pretty happy person. If I walk into a space where people know me and my energy is a little bit lower, everyone asks me what's wrong. What's the matter, Deanna? Are you okay? What's wrong? What's wrong? Are you all right? What's the matter? You seem sad. You seem flat. Are you okay? Are you okay? And so for me, engaging with the world, if I don't step into the world high energy, really sparkly, I get concerned about how I'm going to have to explain myself to people. And so that has become part of the way that I interact with the world. And your experience with your voice is exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have kind of a similar thing. I mean, it's a little similar thing to, well, I guess both of you, but from a very young age, like I've been singing for longer than I've been speaking. I just came out of the womb singing. I love it. And so I've been told my whole life, wow, you have such a great voice. You are so good at this. And so it's almost like now, even though I am still very good at using my voice and I'm a voice actor and I use my voice all the time, it's almost like I was so good at it for my whole life that now my world has expanded, if I'm not the best at it in the room, I feel almost a little crushed. You know what I mean? I've been the best at this my whole life. I've been the, I voted most talented in high school and winning talent shows and all of this stuff. And then, you step into a space where there are professionals who have been all told that their whole life, and now you're just one of many. And so it's difficult when you are in that space, and it's I've had to learn to be a little bit more accepting of maybe it's okay that if I'm not right for something or if I'm not the best in the room, that it's not a character flaw of me. It's just, it's just the way that the cookies crumbled, basically.
Yeah. And it's also, it impacts your ability to learn as well.
Yeah.
If you step into a space with the framework of, I'm amazing at this, right? That's great for confidence, but it's shitty for learning. It's really, really bad for putting yourself into the learner environment as someone who doesn't know everything, So that's a really interesting thing about labels as well. Right? You put a label on something and that dictates how you engage with the environment at large, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think it's really important that we consider that a label is just a word, right? And it actually has no inherent value. The judgment we make about the label is what gives it value. And we have absolute control over the judgments that we make and how we use those judgments, right? So if someone says to you, your voice is beautiful, and you go, right, I have a beautiful voice, and that means it's always good or it's always right or I'm always the best, then that's something that you've added into that labeling process. And the same goes for, oh, my voice is weak or my voice is stuck in my throat all of the time. I teach at WAPA, right? The WA Academy of Performing Arts over here. It's one of the premier drama schools in Australia, right? And I have students that come into that who have done training at the school or at other places, and they come in and they tell me things about their voice. They come into a year-long voice program with me with ideas already ingrained about their voice, labels that they've attached or that someone else has said to them, oh, your voice is stuck in your throat, or you sound really tinny, or you're very nasally resonant. And the implication is that those things are bad. And I have a massive fucking problem with that.
Yeah.
Massive problem with that.
Well, then here is my question for you, Deanna. If I walked into your classroom and started saying things like that, how would you start to get me to rethink about those things? Because obviously some days we do have tinniness or we do have nasality or we do have these things. So how do you rephrase your language around them to get them to start moving off of that?
Your voice is perfect as it is. It's whole and it works and it's beautiful. It does the job it's supposed to do, okay? Your voice is exactly as it should be. And if you want to move your resonance to a different place, let's teach you how to access that, right? If you want to create more resonance, let's teach you how to create more resonance, right? This is not a definitive statement about you, who you are, you as who you are as a person, and it's not a definitive statement about your voice. Your voice is flexible. So is your brain, right? Neuroplasticity fucking exists. Muscular plasticity fucking exists. And there are lots and lots of ways that we can change the way your voice sounds, but you don't have to. Who you are right now is exactly perfect and beautiful and unique, and nobody else sounds like this. So own that first. It has to be the platform that you operate from.
Oh, I love that. So I have another question, a follow-up for you. A friend of mine who's a singing teacher likes to refer, when people come into her studio to start doing voicing or to start doing singing, she will ask them, how is your voice today? And they talk about their voice as an object that is not a part of their body so that they can be objective about it. Is that something that you're like, yeah, that's a cool thing as well? Or
Yes. Yeah. Look, I think there's value in, because what you're doing there is separating the voice from the identity of the person.
Yeah,
and that's really, really, really valuable, because then you can look at it from the perspective of, how do I manipulate this, right? How do I get it to do different things, you know? I'm trying to think of a good analogy here. Tying your shoelaces, right? If tying your shoelaces was a part of your personality, right, you'd never be able to put on a different pair of shoes with a different shoelace structure. You'd be all like, this is fucked. Velcro, oh my God, it's a disaster, right? But because shoes are objects and they're separate to us, we can look at them and go, oh, this is how I tie these shoelaces. This is how I do this Velcro. This is how I wear these fancy little things that mean I don't even have to do a bow, right? And none of it impacts your idea about who you are as a person. You're just engaging with a different object. Right? And you're bringing your intellect to a process, and you're breaking the process down and working out what all the components are and then putting them together in a way that suits that particular object and the outcome that you're trying to achieve, right? So we can look at our voice the same kind of way.
And I think it's such a personal process to start looking at your voice in an individual way. But what I find really interesting is how your voice shows up in the world. It determines what other people think about you.
Yeah, this is a big thing.
This is a massive thing. So, like, for example, if you have quite a quiet voice, you are automatically labeled as someone who is shy or maybe unconfident. If you have a big, big, big loud voice, people are like, oh, that person's obnoxious, or they're arrogant, or they've got all of these other things going on about it. What are people,
I'm pointing at myself, because that's been my experience my entire life, right?
Yeah.
I learned how to use my voice at a really young age. And so I've been loud, and I have really good lung capacity, and I have excellent muscular control. It's part of my DNA, part of my genetics, right? My whole family is very loud. So I've been loud for my whole entire life, and I have gotten labelled many times before people have gotten to know me as obnoxious, arrogant, pushy, takes up too much space, cuts other people out of conversations, like is too big. Too big.
Wow.
Too big.
So I have a question, Deanna. Do you think that people would have said that if you were born a man?
That is
Oh God, that's a whole nother extra thing.
That is a fabulous question.
And if we want to talk about that, that's a whole different subject, sort of, right? And that, because that comes down to like gender dynamics and social dynamics and all that kind of stuff. And I suspect that it depends on the time, right? If I'd been born 50 years ago, or I almost was born 50 years ago, if I was born 100 years ago, maybe it'd be different, right? I just turned 48 last week, so I'm like, oh shit, 50, that's really, really close.
That was 50 years ago.
If I was born today, I don't think it would happen as much, because I think societal attitudes are changing, and I have seen men in spaces, males in spaces, be labelled the same way as men. So maybe there's a bit of like gender stuff associated with that, but it probably depends on the environment. You know, like if I stepped into a management space in a corporation, yes, I agree with that statement. I think as a man, it comes across as power. As a woman, it comes across as pushy and you know, like
Bossy
aggressive and
and-
bossy and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's contextual.
Mm.
Does that
I think
answer the question?
I think it totally answers the question. I think it also applies to accents as well.
Mm.
You know, there's this huge perception that, like, if you have that Southern American drawl, you're stupid. Have you heard
Oh.
that before?
No?
No.
Absolutely.
What about
yeah,
you, Ashton?
Yep. Totally. Like it.
Mm.
This is the stupid people. This is how stupid people.
Oh,
yeah.
right. In Australia, it's bogey.
portrayed.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. In New Zealand, it's that really like flat kind of this sort of sound.
Oh.
That and it's
In
crazy.
Australia, it's like this. If you talk like this, you're a bit fucking stupid.
Yeah. For like the American one, it's the Southern Belle kind of thing that I always thought.
Oh, that's a
people
little
thought-
different. Yeah.
Mm.
The
Yeah,
Southern Belle, she's not stupid. She's kind of vain, and she's kind of she's kind of a bully. Like she's gonna
Like
be
passive aggressive.
She's totally passive aggressive. Bless her heart. She is gonna stab you in the back the moment you turn around. Yeah. So that's how they're portrayed, which is so not fair. I mean,
It's
these are all
completely unfair.
stereotypes. Yeah,
It's
they're just-
fucked up shit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
This is the other thing about accents. Accents are neutral, just like the labels in every other kind of space that we're talking about, like, you know, you messy, dirty, beautiful, tinny, whatever, like labels. And if you label an accent, you're adding a judgment to it,
Yeah.
which is a real problem because people can't help the way they talk based on where they live, right? It's hard not to sound the way the people around you sound. It's really difficult. My sister lives in the US. She's Australian, obviously. She lives in the US. She's been there for 14 years and she works real hard on keeping her Australian accent. She can use an American accent and she does it when she's on the phone all the time because people don't understand her otherwise. But she has had to work really, really hard to retain her Australian accent. And when she's in Australia, it's really easy for her. But it's very difficult to not take on the vocal qualities of the people that you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and so to add a label to that, to say that because you sound like the people around you makes you stupid or snobby or aggressive or passive aggressive or any of those kinds of things, I think is just hideous. And it's objectification. And it's really interesting, right? Because we talked about like taking your voice out of like your personality and being able to look at it objectively. But that's not the same as objectification.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, when you
Those are
say
different.
you sound like this, so therefore you are stupid, you're reducing a person to nothing more than the sound that's coming out of them. And that's entirely inappropriate.
Yeah. And we develop sounds for all kinds of reasons. Like our voice, as well as being a thing that functions and makes sounds, it's also a safety mechanism. That part of your body looks after you and the way that it produces sounds in certain environments. For example, I have two of these examples. I'll start with one and then maybe the other one will come around later, who knows. But the first one is that when I was a lot younger, so I'd be talking to you and then at the end of my sentence I'd go, I'd giggle. Because I thought that sound made me less intimidating or it made me seem more polite and it put me in a certain way to keep my environment feeling safe. Because at school I was picked on a little bit. So that giggle tried to make me seem
Likeable.
more friendly. And I didn't even know that I did it until my mum pointed it out one day when I was a bit older. She's like, did you know that you giggle at the end of your sentences? And I went, no. And it took a really good amount of time to start working that out, to stop having to go, oh, I need to be polite and pleasant in front of people to keep myself safe. It was a really interesting thing that happened vocally for me.
That makes complete sense, right? Because our voice, right? So there's two components to there's the sounds that you make and the words that you use, right?
Yes.
And they're different, right? The way you sound is not the same as the words you choose. Two completely different components.
Yeah.
And I like to frame this as your speech, the words that you use, is the conscious expression of your emotions and your thoughts and your feelings and that kind of thing, right? Your voice, the way it sounds, is the unconscious expression of your thoughts and your emotions, right?
Yep.
And so a giggle at the end, that's not words, that's sound, right? And that 100% is an expression of your discomfort in the space and your requirement for people to like you and be comfortable with you and feel safe with you and that kind of thing, right? And you didn't even know that was happening because it's the subconscious coming through. It's that unconscious expression of some stuff that's happening in the background for you. you know? It fascinates me how this happens and the way that we're not even aware of what we're doing from a sound perspective. And often it takes someone else saying, hey, did you know that this is happening? That's one of the basic premises of my coaching practice. I help people break patterns. That's what I do. I'm a pattern breaker, right? Because I see patterns and I can communicate those patterns to people. But we don't see them, right? I have to go find other people to tell me what my patterns are because I don't see mine.
Isn't that amazing? Like the voice is so fascinating in the sense that it really just isn't a muscle that functions and does things. It holds trauma, it holds emotion, it holds expression, it holds absolutely everything in there. My second story, I feel it is the appropriate moment to tell this now. Get myself ready. Is that so? A few years ago, I was really stressed, and I didn't know that I was really stressed. I felt like my brain was functioning, and all kinds of things were working, and you know, I was getting stuff done, and I was functioning, and it was fine. And what started to happen is that my voice started to become so tight for no apparent, what felt like to me at the time, for no apparent reason, that I would just not be able to speak after about 10 to 15 minutes. My voice would start to get to the point where it would be like this, and it would just get so tight because my body was trying to tell me that it was stressed and it was trying to stop me from functioning. It was absolutely incredible. So I was working as a drama teacher at the time, and I would have to, during my classes, get my hand in really high up underneath my chin, get the fleshy bit between my thumb and my forefinger to drag down the center of my throat and physically pull my voice box down.
Wow.
So that I could talk without
continue
pain.
Teaching.
Yeah, so I could continue teaching.
So what did you do about that?
Yeah, what
Yeah.
I have the same question. Sorry. Like that was just a blah, 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 what happened?
Because also I just started working as a voice therapist, and I think I was feeling inadequate in that space. And so that was manifesting and causing problems for me vocally because I wasn't feeling confident in that space myself. And so what that started, I reached out to a couple of people so like when I was doing work to be like, can you please just positively reinforce me and tell me that I'm actually doing a good job? Because my brain is telling me that I'm not. Therefore, all of this stuff is starting to pull up. And it was also just a realization that maybe I was doing things in my life that I didn't want to be doing, and I had to look at that as well.
There was one time that happened to me, but it only lasted like 15 minutes. And it was because I was having an actual panic attack at the time.
Oh, right,
I had just learned some really like crazy traumatic information. I went into a full-blown panic attack, and my throat was like closing up, not to the point where I couldn't breathe, but just to the point where I like literally physically could not get words out. Like physically I was having that panic attack. So like that, I can understand that. But to have the longevity of it to happen for like a long period of time, I can't imagine, because those 15 minutes were terrifying to me. So I can't even imagine how difficult it must have been for you to not be able to use your voice as someone who probably leans heavily on your voice as part of your identity at that time. That's wow. Yeah, it's crazy.
I think probably a lot of people bump up against this in a less chronic kind of way, in a more acute sort of way, as a result of nerves, right? So we get nervous when we're performing, and performance anxiety is a thing that actually never goes away if you give a fuck about what you're doing, right? So, you know, like I get nervous before lots and lots of things that I do because I care deeply about the outcomes, right? Lots of people get nervous, especially early in their career, at every time they sit in front of a microphone, right? And so that tension that you're talking about, Tessa, I think it'd be really good if we kind of talked a little bit about how we can immediately impact that, right? And I've got a couple of things that are really, really important. And then Tessa, I think it'd be really good if you talked about just some physiological things that we can do that aren't just, I'm going to hold down my vocal box so that I can talk, right? Like maybe a bit more like what tension releasey things that we can do. So before that, though, I just quickly want to talk about the fact that there's lots of ways that we can impact our nervous system. We can down-regulate our nervous system to help us move past that kind of stuff really, really quickly. And it can be as simple as humming and making sure that our breath is in our belly, right?
Yeah.
And slowing down the exhale. So the reason humming works is because when we hum, we put vibrations through our vocal box, our voice box, our larynx, right? And that translates through to our vagus nerve, which runs down the back of our neck and basically touches our spine and our larynx, right? So when we hum through there, we put vibrations through that vagus nerve, and that down-regulates our nervous system, takes us out of that sympathetic fight or flight state and puts us into parasympathetic rest and digest, right?
Right.
So that can help with that tension, like that nervous tightness that happens as a result of like being in that stressed state. So humming, singing, just gently phonating in a way that puts vibrations through there is incredibly helpful. The second thing that you can do that works straight away is a box breathing or something that slows your exhalation down. So you can literally just take a breath, make sure that it's in your belly, right? You're not breathing in your shoulders and your chest, right? That you're breathing down low and you're getting good like rib expansion when you take that breath in, and then breathing out very slowly through pursed lips is even better. And going as long as you can on that exhale. You do that 3 or 4 times, you have down-regulated your nervous system. Your heart rate will slow, your breathing will slow because you're forcing it to slow. Your critical thinking will come back online, the tension will drop out of you, and you will be able to function again.
I love all of those things, by the way. One thing that I personally learned is that when I have a lot of nerves or I have a lot of anxiety, it's because I'm not being in the moment. My mind is either in the future or it's in the past. So something that brings me back to the moment, and I learned this actually from my wonderful, amazing therapist. Her name is Sarita. She's awesome. Is to do this technique, this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. So first, you
Love this.
Love it, yeah.
you look around the room and you literally spot out loud or to yourself 5 things that you can see. And
Out
then
loud is helpful, by the way, because
Yes.
speaking brings you into your body as well.
Sometimes you can't always do that though. Like if you're in a space where you're with a bunch of people, or you're not comfortable saying these things out loud, you can just do it in your head. It does work. It's still okay. But yeah, if you can say them out loud, it will bring you back to the moment quicker. So you spot 5 things that you can see, then you spot 4 things that you can hear, 3 things that you can smell, 3 things you can touch.
Feel? Touch.
Yeah, something like that. It's all 5 senses. So it's 3 things you can feel, 2 things you can hear, and 1 thing you can taste, or something like that.
Yeah, it actually doesn't matter which of what order you do it in either, right? It's just that it's easier to see 5 things than it is to hear 5 things.
Exactly. So, but it really does bring you back to the moment of where you are, like in this moment, the space that you're in, instead of having your mind preoccupied with what could happen in the future or what has happened in the past.
Even if that past is 5 seconds ago, because that happens a lot in the booth. Right? We deliver a read, our brain goes, oh, you fucked up that word. And if you ruminate on the fact that you fucked up that word, you are in the past and you're in a stressed state immediately. It's so that can, if you just, even if all you do is go, what can I say? Whew, you're back here now.
You're back. Yeah, just bring yourself back to the moment. It's so important.
Yeah.
Finding your body in space is really important as well. So what is that? It's called proprioception?
Proprioception.
Proprioception, that's how you say it.
Yeah.
So the understanding of where your body is in space, I find it really helpful if things start to go a bit haywire in my brain, literally fold in half and let my head hang down at my feet. Because it is just a different position. You get blood moving in a different direction.
Yeah.
And it's just, I find it really, really calming. The other thing I like to do, actually there's another 2 things I like to do, is body touching. So I will move down my body, whacking different parts of it for sensation. Because when I'm thinking, all I can really feel is my eyeballs. Yeah, that's the bit that I get stuck in. I'm like, this is what I can think and feel. Whereas if I start whacking other parts of my body, I'm like, oh, they exist. That's cool. All right, interesting. My other one that I really, really like is squeeze and release.
Yes.
So so helpful, right?
Too.
Particularly through the pelvic floor and particularly through the body, because once you're getting low into your belly breath, like you were saying, Deanna, it activates your parasympathetic nervous system, and you can't breathe like that unless you feel safe.
Yes.
So by getting those muscles moving, it lets your brain think that you are safe and helps calm you down. So I'll squeeze up through the pelvic floor. I'll squeeze my belly as tight as I can, and I'll do it with my arms as well, and I'll get everything really, really tight. and then let it go.
And that
there's
release is really, really helpful.
really helpful. Yeah.
And it feels so good.
Yeah.
It really
It feels great. It
Yeah.
feels great. Or like I'll stare at my hands and look at all of the different lines and see if I can find something new on my hand, because it just takes me out of my brain
Oh.
and brings me back down this way. Because that's something that happens for me quite a lot. My anxiety builds up and things can get really heightened really quick, and I have to find ways to take myself outside of my brain, and it's usually through my body.
Yeah,
Usually.
yeah, absolutely. 100%. 100%. Grounding is a way to describe what you're doing, and it is vital.
Yep.
If you're not grounded, right, you are not in your body. You don't have a say over how your voice comes out of you. Right?
Not
If you
an
are
inch.
ruminating and you're stuck in thoughts, then all of those thoughts and feelings are going to dictate how your voice comes out of you. So you have to get grounded. The last thing that I want to say about this that I find really helpful is I don't wear shoes when I'm doing voiceover. It doesn't matter whether I'm in my booth or someone else's booth. I take my shoes off, right? Because I want to feel the ground.
Yep.
I want to wiggle my toes. I want to touch the ground. And for me, that basically gets me into my body really, really quickly. And I've practiced that. So it's really important that you are practicing these things in a safe environment, in a low risk environment, so that when you do get into that high risk environment where you're in a job and you've got people in front of you like expecting things of you, you can use that thing like just grabbing the floor with your toes. For me now, when I grab the floor with my toes, whoomp, I come back into my body.
Has anybody like given you a hard time for taking off your shoes in like a professional space or anything? Awesome.
Never. I mean, they can't see anyway, right? Because like often
Most of
there's
the
a glass window and they can't see my feet, right? But if anyone did give me grief about it and go, why are you taking your shoes off? I'd say, because it helps me do my job better.
Right.
Yeah, I used a lot of the practices. So I had I thought it was going to be a commercial, and it turned out to be long form, and I was not prepared for that.
Shit.
Honestly, because I can it was like 3 pages of content. I can read relatively well, but not if I don't know that I'm going to be doing it. I just go blank, and it's really really hard. And I fucked up so many words, and I would get like, it was Pinot Noir. I couldn't say that word. I kept going Pinot Noir or blah, 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 blah. It was wrong.
Yeah.
And I would get to that word in a sentence because it would be in the middle, and I would just stop because I'd be like, I got it right. And then I would stop.
And then you stopped.
Honestly, it was horrible. It was the
Wow.
worst 2.5 hours of my life.
Oh,
But
love.
partway through that session, my brain went, you have to do something different because this just isn't working. So I said to my engineer, I was like, I'm just going to take my headphones off for a moment and move. And he went, yeah, that's probably a good idea. He was really funny. So I took my headphones off and I hung upside down for about 30 seconds and I like wiggled my bum backwards and forwards and I did lots of like shaking things, and I came back to it and I was better. I wasn't all the way better, but I was better, and I was able to, slowly move through what we were doing. So like you can even do that shit in a professional environment.
You should.
You
Not
should.
can, should. It's actually your job to interrupt the shitty process that's making you not be able to do your job.
Yeah.
Right? Like literally, it's a massive, massive part of being able to do this work. It's not even a can do it. If you want to, do it.
Do
right?
it.
Just do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
One thing that you've taught me, Tessa, that I love and that I use regularly now is to find your center when you balance on your feet back and forth. So Tessa taught me that. I don't know where you learned it from, but I think it's genius.
Patsy Rodenberg.
Patsy.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It is such an easy, quick way to really center not just your body, but like your mind as well.
Yeah.
Like, because as you are rocking, so the process of this is, stop me if I'm explaining it wrong, but the process of this is that you lean all the way back on your heels and then you go all the way front on your tippy toes as far as you can, back on your heels and tippy toes, and you rock back and forth, and then you slowly go until you reach your center. You slowly get closer to your center until you finally reach your center where all the points of your feet are flat on the ground. And you can, all 4 points of your feet are totally flat on the ground, and then you are completely centered. And it's just something that happens in, I don't know, my brain particularly, probably in everybody else's too, but that it's so calming, and it really is like grounding. You find your center, you feel much more connected to the earth. I know that sounds like all hippy dippy, but
No,
like
no,
for
it's
real,
the
it
truth.
really
It's what
does.
it's for, yeah.
Yeah. and it just makes you. I feel you feel ready. You feel like
Because
you
it's
could-
active.
Yeah.
Yes,
Because it's active. This is
Yeah.
not a passive thing. Finding your center and being grounded is not passive at all. If you're passive about finding your center, your body will just go it'll
You'll fall.
well, sort of, but also like you can just stand and not actively try and be centered and grounded, right? And you'll stay upright, but your body will use whatever mechanisms it needs to keep you there, right? And that might
Yes.
mean like push your shoulders over this way because you're a bit unbalanced on your feet, right?
or push your hip out, or
Yeah, exactly, right? And you'll fall into patterns of muscular kind of like how they hold you up normally, right? So when
Right.
you drop into that really conscious connecting to the ground and finding the centers of your feet, once you're in that position, a really fun experiment to do is get yourself into that space and then squeeze a fist and see how your body moves in response to that like squeeze of a fist, or clench your jaw and feel how your body moves, right? I guarantee you that if you find that centered space and then you add some sort of muscular tension somewhere in your body, you'll move off that center and you'll have to consciously bring yourself back.
That is
And what-
so interesting.
Yeah, and what that shows you is just how active it is to stay in that centered position, and that's why it keeps you in your body, because you're working at it.
That is so cool. I'd never thought
That's
about that
awesome.
extra part of it. Because that centering action, if you're not conscious or like really thinking about it actively while you're doing it, you tip. You
Yeah.
fall in the wrong direction, you fall over, and it's such an interesting process. If you do it a few times in a row, by the time you've gotten to the end, even your breath is settled really
Yes.
well. There's so much that goes, and like, I
beautiful.
find that my jaw naturally drops off with it too, because I'm
Yeah.
putting activation into my legs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm finding that middle ground. It's like, oh, what has
Jaw
happened
opens,
here?
tongue relaxes, right? Because it's also putting you into that parasympathetic state. Our body likes being in that space.
Yeah,
Our body likes it when we're in it.
yeah. And I think our body likes pendulum movement too.
Yeah.
We love being rocked. We love all of that sort of stuff. So that action settles you, and then you find your center and you're like, I feel like Queen Bee just here. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's
You
lovely.
do. You feel relaxed, but you feel prepared and ready. Like you
Yeah.
feel, like I don't know, like if that is the meaning of the word grounded, like that is how you feel.
Prepared and ready. And that's
Prepared
super
and
good
ready.
for your voice, right? That is super, super, super good for your voice.
Mm-hmm.
It helps get rid of all of those kind of unconscious things that are impacting how your voice comes out of you. And it means you are in touch with everything. So you're prepared in lots of ways. You're not just physically in the space. It also helps you be vocally prepared.
Yeah. Oh, what a cool topic. I love this stuff.
There's
this
so
stuff.
much more to talk about here.
There's like the stuff written on my list. I'm like, we didn't even touch on that. But we are going to move on. We are going to move on because this podcast will be it'll be around for a long time, friends. We will be here for a very long time. So I think what we should do now is move on to dun dun dun, dun sounds I can't make.
Yay!
Hit us
What are we
up,
doing this
Jordan.
Okay. So, Scooby Doo. Everyone knows who Scooby Doo is.
Yeah.
Now you guys are going to be Scooby Doo.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
okay. All
All
right.
right.
Oh, hang on. My volume's not up. I've done it.
Oh, seriously, the reason Jordan has this job is
Howdy,
because
everybody. This is your old pal Goofy coming to
Okay,
you
I was
from
wrong. It's not
B23.
Scooby Doo.
that's goofy.
That's goofy.
It's a different
Okay.
dog, but okay,
Same
yeah.
thing.
Okay, so who?
I'm going again.
We're going goofy.
This is goofy.
Yeah. I'm going again. I'll get it right this time.
Howdy, everybody. This is your old pal Goofy coming to you from B23.
So is it the laugh that you want us to do?
Or you
And
wanna-
the voice.
I think the voice.
All
I'll
right.
play it one more time.
Yeah, cool. It's not an easy job, is it?
Howdy, everybody. This is your old pal Goofy coming to you from B23.
So there's a couple of different things, there's lots of things going on there, but one of them is that there's an American accent.
Yes, so
Oh,
this
yeah.
voice actor his name is Bill Farmer, and he's amazing, and he's been Goofy for as long as I can remember. He's not the original voice of Goofy, but he's been Goofy for since the 90s, maybe even the 80s, I think. It's been a long time he's been Goofy, and he's still Goofy today. And he is an American dude, And he does not sound like Goofy in real life. Like that is a voice he is putting on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just for anybody who didn't know.
Yeah. The only reason I bring it up is because as a Australian accented person, and Tessa, for you, same kind of thing, right? There's 2 layers of stuff that have to happen there, right? There has to be the accent, right, which requires a whole bunch of oral posturing and that kind of stuff to happen. I don't even know if oral posturing is
Totally appropriate.
That's
Totally appropriate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's
Absolutely could be
that.
a word.
Yeah, there's the oral posture of the accent, but then there's also the manipulation of the sounds and like the resonance and all of the different bits and pieces to get that goofy kind of personality or vibe or whatever
Yeah.
it is that's in there. So I reckon, Ashton, you should go first because you've already got the American accent down.
So here's the thing. I can't do Goofy's voice. I have tried in the past, but I
Ah,
could probably try and do the laugh.
okay.
And
okay.
and like if we could just do like that bit, I might be able to get kind of close. Can we hear it one more time, Jordan?
Yeah. So do you want
Click.
just the laugh? I'll
Yeah,
give you the
could
whole
we- could
thing.
We could try. I'm not going to sound like Goofy in the first part, but we could. I could try.
You don't get to pick and choose what sound you try and make, mate. Hey,
Okay.
that's not how this works there, Ashton.
You're so strict.
You've had your practice. You've been practicing.
Well, no, I mean just because
Goofy,
I love.
mate. I got
like,
that way wrong.
I love Goofy. That's all.
I love this side of you, Jordan. This is great.
Hey, this is your old pal Goofy coming to you from B23.
It's your pal Goofy coming to you from day 23. I can't do the yuck.
It's an influx, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
You sound like you're going to hiccup.
I can't do it. I can't
That's
do
close,
the
though.
It's close.
Yeah. All right,
Okay.
that's as good. That's as good as I can. But it probably is much easier for me considering that I am American. And he also kind of sounds just slightly Southern. Like it is very slight, but it is in there for sure.
So it's got
Yeah.
a bit of a drawl. in
a
it.
little bit of a drawl, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, the vowels are much they're just
Round.
it's southern in
Rounder.
the sense that it's round and they're not clipped. Like American goes a lot faster, whereas that feels like if I was to do it, I
It
would be
was a
going
bit
like this,
more
and
like
it just
this.
there's
It's melodic.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Okay.
does have a particular cadence, doesn't it?
Yeah, it Yeah.
All right, Jordan, can we play it again? Tessa, do you want to go next, or do you want
Yeah,
me to go?
sure. I can go next.
God.
Stop it, Deanna.
LA Weekly Style Council. Can you say hello to us, Goofy?
Gosh, howdy everybody. This is your old pal Goofy coming to you from B23.
Okay, I'm going to say, howdy, everybody. This is your old pal Goofy. I'm just going to get that bit. Howdy, everybody. This is your old pal Goofy. And then we're going to try the laugh. So there's extra sounds coming in through my mic. Sorry, I think the next door neighbours. I was like, what is that?
It's a ghost.
It's a ghost. Hi, everybody. This is your old pal Goofy.
Mm.
It just sort of happened. I don't know.
Just do the words bit again. Don't do the laugh. Just do the words bit.
Well, see,
Just do the word.
I find the laugh gets me. I find it helpful to
Well,
find
can you
the
roll through? Can you
Yeah.
just do a run with the laugh and then roll into it again?
yeah. So laugh first, then words, then
Do the words and the laugh,
The words?
but then like carry on from the laugh. Do it again.
okay, cool. Hey there, everybody. This is your old pal Goofy. This is your old pal Goofy.
I reckon the second time was better.
I think the second time sounded better too. You know what was helpful? Cheeks.
What do you mean?
So like the first time it was like, here's your old pal Goofy. Things were feeling quite stuck here.
Yeah.
This is your old pal Goofy. And putting a little bit more
Yeah.
effort into my cheeks and letting them have some flexibility.
Nice.
This is your old pal Goofy. And extending that space a little bit more.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Okay.
Okay, Deanna.
I'm going to ignore that and just see what happens, right?
Yeah, cool.
Hey, everybody. This is your old pal, Goofy.
Do you know what I think? I think you're so on track. Do you know what I think would help? Put your shoulders in there. Yeah.
Hello, g'day. What is it? It's not g'day because he's not Australian, right? Hey, everybody.
Hey there, everybody.
Howdy. Howdy?
Yeah, sure.
Howdy.
Howdy, everybody. This is your old pal Goofy.
That helped.
The
I
bouncing.
think that helped. That was
That
good.
Cute.
I don't know if it was very goofy, though.
Oh, it was goofy. It
was
Was it?
It was in the ballpark. It was absolutely in the
It was
ballpark.
goofy. It wasn't goofy with a capital G. It was goofy with a little G.
Goofy as the adjective. But you get excited. That was good.
It was good. It was good. Can you play it again, Jordan?
Yeah.
You got to have it ready, right? We need to hear
I'm
these
under
things
a lot of
over and
demand
over
here.
and over again.
Yeah.
And you got to have a go too.
Style Council.
There you go.
Can you say hello to us, Goofy?
Gosh, howdy, everybody. This is your old pal Goofy coming to you from B23.
Coming to you from B23.
I think there's more of this shape too.
Yeah.
This is your old pal Goofy.
This is your old pal Goofy.
Ooh,
Coming
we're really long in the face.
B23.
Howdy, this is your old pal Goofy.
Yeah, that makes a difference for me because it actually makes it more nasal.
Yeah.
Howdy, everybody. This is your old pal Goofy. And there's a whole bunch of this going on, too. Howdy, everybody. This is your old pal Goofy.
Well, you sound a little bit like Goofy with a cold.
Cold,
But that's,
yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But it feels like that's there. That kind of.
The like bumbly quality, like the bumbling.
But it also, just vocally, it feels like it's not in my chest. It's not in my throat. It's up here, and it's kind of like, and getting nasal helps me find that kind of, yeah, it's hard, right?
It feels really palaty to me as well.
Yeah.
See, it doesn't to me. Mine is all in my diaphragm. Like I'm pushing from my belly.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Like, let me do it again. Howdy. This is your old pal Goofy. Like I'm literally pushing from my diaphragm, but I'm also not getting as low. I'm staying in my same register, so that could be it too.
I'm trying to, old pal Goofy. Yeah, trying to get down lower.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, Jordan, your turn.
Okay. Fuck. Every time.
You can just do the laugh if you like.
No, it's not the rules. You got to
Okay.
do
Yeah,
the
that is
whole
not the
thing,
rules.
man.
I wasn't allowed to
I
just do the laugh.
I couldn't
No.
say that and then
yeah.
just do the laugh. That would not be acceptable behaviour. You got to practice what you preach. Okay. Howdy, everybody. That's not very good.
Oh, it's on the way. No, keep going.
No,
Don't
keep
shut
going, keep
yourself
going.
down.
Yeah,
Like it's
well,
iterative,
it's
right?
hard to get in that space.
Yeah.
Howdy, everybody. This is your old pal Goofy coming at you from B23.
Yay!
That was great.
That was fantastic.
I think we've all got the shape of it. Howdy, everybody. This is
Yeah.
your old pal Goofy coming at you from B whatever it is, right? Like we've all got that kind of the cadence, like the prosody of it we've all got, which I think is really, really cool. And then there's just like accent and there's placement. And by placement, I mean like, what do we like? Is it nasal? Is it deep? Is it like, where's it sitting? And that's fascinating. That's very cool. Good one, Jordan. That was great.
That was good.
Scooby-Doo.
That was fun.
Scooby-Doo next.
We've saved that.
Scooby-Doo.
We'll save Scooby-Doo for another day.
Scooby-Doo doesn't even
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Roll, Shaggy.
Uh,
I love Scooby-Doo.
It is
It's such a good show.
So good. Well, I think that's the end of Sounds I Can't Make. I would say we got like a really happy like 60 to 75%, you know.
I think so.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
I don't think it was we couldn't make it. I think
That's
we
a
got
massive win.
that's a massive win
'Cause
considering
often-
we've only just done it now.
Yeah, but also often can't make the sound. Like at all.
No sound made.
No sound made. Well, sounds made, just not that one.
Other sounds made. Well, everybody, that has been it for today. I think we've had some really good chats about the voice and the fact that it's not just a muscle, it is a part of your body. It is a part of who you are as a human being, and it says a lot about your personality, and they all infuse together. So if you are having some thoughts about that, be kind with yourself and maybe just start thinking about the labels and, do they have any meaning? Can you just let them go? So thank you so much for joining us today on the Good Talkers podcast. We've had so much fun and we cannot wait to have you back at the next episode. Please make sure you get in touch with us through the website, through our socials. You can watch us on YouTube. We're everywhere. Find us. We're a great time. So on that note, have a wonderful day, evening, night, whatever you're doing. Have fun. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
See you.
Bye.